Welcome to the Metaphysical News Show. I'm your host, Rory Colgan. Tonight, whenever you're tuning into this particular broadcast, I would like to take a few steps back. A few steps back from the issues that we will be discussing as the weeks continue to move forward, and instead take a look at the metaphysics of news. So first, news is a derivative of a statement or a word that has the meaning something unique, something fresh, something just occurring, something occurring now. Hence, it is new or news. When we look into metaphysics and the Metaphysical News Show, we're looking at what is new and what is happening, but from a deeper perspective, what we would like to call a metaphysical perspective. Now, the metaphysical perspective has three different layers of intelligence. The first layer of this intelligence is what we call reason. Reason is where you have to have accurate information and you have to have time to research and to validate the information that you have. Without accuracy of the information, you will be unsuccessful at reasoning. And that is why politics, as an example, is so filled with disinformation. It makes it hard for people to choose reasonably, because if people are giving you quote-unquote information that's actually a lie or a smudged white lie, then your ability to deduce the most appropriate candidate is severely limited. However, if we can move into the second stage of intelligence and the second stage of metaphysics, we get into what's called intuition. Intuition is where you bypass all the information. You can get through information, you can get through the disinformation, and you arrive at what we call the truth. Now, the truth is a visceral experience. It's more than a feeling, because feelings can be misleading. Feelings that you think are true can simply be feelings of your programming. And so it's true to your programming. So now you can see that there's somewhat of a relationship between the reasonable part of yourself and the intuitive part. They have to cooperate and they have to work together. You can't have one that overpowers the other. I've seen it happen with, like, as an example, an intuitive person. She says, "Oh, it doesn't feel right." Well, little did she know, and she may still not know, and I didn't tell her at the time because it wasn't the right time to tell her, or at least I think so, that what she thought was intuition was actually just a deep programming, and that deep programming was not serving her best interest. And therefore, she thought what she was doing was intuitive, but from my perspective, she was being programmed by something that happened in the past, and it was just keeping her the same, and it wasn't helping her grow or evolve. Intuition helps people grow and evolve. So that's one of the ways that you can notice whether or not you're actually feeling truth, or which is intuition, or you're feeling your programming. Programming keeps you the same because that's how you were programmed. Intuition keeps you growing, keeps you moving. And finally, the third stage, which we at the Metaphysical News Show look at, is what we call the highest intelligence. And the highest intelligence is remarkable for many different reasons, but probably the simplest is that it is perfect. It's the perfect blending of love and truth. When you have love and truth together, you create this whole that is sublime, transcendent, and without error. Now, this part of our intelligence is actually the thing that was talked about in Genesis as made in the image of the Creator, or made in the image of the gods. There is a part of us that is perfect. Now, if you look at this world, you look at me, you look at anything in this physical area, we're not going to find the perfection, because that's not the area that the perfection was made. This level that we're in is what we call a power down station. So you've had to power down from your perfect state to this state to have this experience, because if we all maintained our perfection, then there wouldn't be this this dream called planet Earth. There wouldn't be this apparent good and evil, because in perfection there is no shadow, there is no dark, and there really is only the perfection of what is. There's only light, but there's no distinction to give it some sort of character. It's just whole, it's just perfect. So it's in that state And I've experienced that state in meditation, so I know what I'm talking about, as well as the holy books have talked about it, so I can see the validation between the two. In that state, you don't need anything. You don't want anything. You have achieved nirvana. You have blown out, which is the little literal translation, your desires, because there is nothing left to achieve. So when you have all three of those, the highest, the intuitive, and the reasonable intelligence, you can look at a metaphysical, you can look with a metaphysical lens at anything. So news is simply what is happening now. But what our job is in this particular medium is to be unbiased about, what we want to happen, and more so looking at what is happening. And that's a Taoist virtue as well as a metaphysical virtue. I guess they're one and the same depending upon your definition. But in many respects, this news show of what we will be releasing every Saturday or most Saturdays is dedicated to seeing what is occurring today with a clear mind, without attachment, without the obfuscation of ignorance. And this will be a tough journey. This will be challenging for all of us. But I'm going to ask you to endure anything that doesn't sit right with you and examine it in the reason, the intuitive, and the transcendent realms, and see if you can see the truth. And if you don't, reach out to me. Put it in a YouTube comment or a Facebook comment, and let's see if perhaps I was misstepping, or if I can help explain what I was saying a little bit clearer. So this is Rory Colgan from the Metaphysical News Show, wishing you to be well, to be happy, and to stay tuned to this exciting program. Next week, I don't want to do too much as a spoiler, but it's going to be involving the facts of the 2016 presidential election. And I think you're going to like it because I'm going to be introducing a fresh perspective, hopefully for most people, and not really putting in a whole lot of bias, just like I've talked about for the last 7 minutes. I'm going to give it to you from the metaphysical level. All right, looking forward to it, and I'm going to hit back to the research and get ready for it next week. Talk to you soon.